They chase, they beg, they cling to the ephemeral whispers of approval, believing that to possess one must relentlessly pursue. Yet, in their desperate grasp, they discover only emptiness, an unending chase after fleeting shadows. They mistakenly believe the path to wielding influence lies in manufacturing a dependence in others, a fragile dominion constructed on feigned indifference and calculated pretense. They are profoundly mistaken. This is an ancient snare, a self-imposed confinement where their deepest yearnings become their most restrictive fetters. What if the true secret to commanding loyalty, to inspiring unswerving devotion, resided not in your fervent pursuit, but in your profound, unyielding stillness? What if by seeking absolutely nothing you gained an all-encompassing advantage? For millennia, humanity has been ensnared by the misconception that true influence is forged through overt, often clamorous action. We are indoctrinated from our earliest moments to crave validation, to ache for acceptance, to recoil from the specter of isolation. This pervasive conditioning molds every facet of our interactions, transforming each relationship, every intricate social dynamic, into an undeclared battleground where our innermost emotional states are rendered the most vulnerable targets. Consider the pervasive human dilemma. You extend a gesture of camaraderie, an overture of connection, a subtle, often subconscious plea for attention. When such an offering is met with a chilling indifference, or more acutely with an outright dismissal, what is the instinctive human response? An unsettling surge of anxiety, a feverish re-evaluation of one's worth, a desperate, often humiliating endeavor to re-establish engagement. We escalate our efforts. We pursue with increased fervor. We proffer more, convinced that sheer persistence will invariably unlock the affection or deference of the other party. This, precisely, is the conventional vulnerability, the utterly foreseeable reaction that lays bare the delicate architecture of your inner world for all to scrutinize. It represents a strategy, if such an ill-conceived approach can even bear the name, born not of inherent strength, but of raw need and an abiding fear. It is the amateur's perilous gambit, played upon a stage where your adversary arbitrarily dictates the terms, where your fluctuating emotional state serves as their most potent and readily exploited weapon. You inevitably become a mere automaton, dancing erratically to the unseen manipulative strings of their caprices, your intrinsic value oscillating wildly with their transient moments of acknowledgement. This unequivocally is not leadership. It is a veiled form of subservience parading as ambition. It signifies the gradual, insidious forfeiture of your intrinsic sovereignty, foolishly exchanged for the fleeting illusion of control. And within this tragic capitulation reside the nascent seeds of your unavoidable downfall. The more strenuously you pursue, the more rapidly they withdraw. The more vehemently you demand, the less they are inclined to yield. This fragile construct of command, precariously built upon desperate manipulation, inevitably shatters under the slightest external pressure, exposing the profound chasm of insecurity that lies beneath. This incessant cycle of craving and chasing perpetuates a self-defeating loop, eroding not only your external standing, but, more significantly, your internal fortitude and self-respect. It teaches others that your worth is negotiable, your boundaries permeable, and your presence easily dismissed because you yourself have implicitly confirmed these very assertions through your actions. Yet, beyond this conventional labyrinth of reactive behavior, there exists an alternative trajectory, an ancient, profound wisdom articulated by Sun Tzu, the unparalleled strategist. He, with his penetrating insight, grasped that the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. This monumental principle, frequently misunderstood in its purely martial application, contains the quintessential key to unlocking genuine influence and unshakable power within every conceivable human dynamic. It unequivocally reveals that the true strategist does not engage in the frantic, energy-sapping pursuit. Rather, he meticulously cultivates a state of being where any form of pursuit becomes fundamentally superfluous. The conventional mindset erroneously equates detachment with a mere tactical maneuver, a cold, meticulously calculated performance of indifference meticulously engineered to dupe others into desiring that which they perceive as unattainable. This too is merely a more nuanced form of manipulation and ultimately equally brittle. It is, at its core, a fabricated facade, and all facades are destined to crumble. Sun Tzu's overarching philosophy, however, profoundly transcends such superficial theatrics. He expounds not upon a feigned disinterest, but upon a truly authentic dispassion, meticulously cultivated from an intrinsic core of profound inner strength and an unblemished clarity of purpose. This, critically, is not about engaging in superficial gamesmanship. It is about achieving a state of being where you become utterly unplayable. The bona fide strategist comprehends that genuine power emanates not from your instantaneous reaction to external stimuli, but from your deliberate, conscious mastery over your immediate environment and, most critically, over your own internal psychological landscape. Your silence, in this profound context, is not a mere absence of vocalization, but a profoundly potent declaration of unwavering self-possession. Your act of observation is not passive inaction, but the manifestation of a sharp, discerning intelligence that assiduously gathers vital information without ever betraying your own strategic intentions. When you are truly, irrevocably detached from the specific outcome of an interaction, when your internal moral compass is steadfastly anchored by your own unwavering personal mission, you metamorphose into an unyielding, immovable force. You cease to be violently buffeted by the tumultuous waves of others' transient opinions or their capricious desires. This profound internal stillness, this deep-seated absence of desperate need, is the primal wellspring of all true and enduring influence. It stands as the covert weapon that transmutes you from the hunted to the unassailable, the individual whose very presence, without uttering a single demand, commands an innate attention, not because you vociferously insist upon it, but because you intrinsically embody it. This is the sublime art of existing so completely within the boundless expanse of your own sovereignty that the world, in all its inherent tumult and disarray, is inexorably drawn to seek out your unwavering stability. It is the wisdom of becoming a beacon, rather than a shadow, of attracting through inherent value rather than chasing through perceived lack. This magnetic allure, born of self-containment, disarms potential adversaries, inspires confidence in allies, and subtly compels others to align with your trajectory, not out of fear or manipulation, but out of a genuine recognition of your intrinsic strength and grounded presence. The power here is not exerted, it is recognized and ceded willingly, for the inherent desire for another's fleeting approval is, in essence, the premature declaration of defeat, long before the actual contest has even commenced. The true master ascends not through the desperate supplications or manipulative overtures, but through the intrinsic self-generated force of their own being. Comment, I am unconquerable to unequivocally embark upon your transformative journey of genuine detachment, and subscribe to meticulously unveil the profound secrets of truly magnetic leadership. Having grasped the profound distinction between superficial pretense and genuine inner mastery, we now delve deeper into the strategic doctrines that underpin this formidable state of detachment. Sun Tzu's Art of War is not merely a manual for battlefield tactics. It is a timeless treatise on human psychology, power dynamics, and the meticulous cultivation of an unassailable self. The principles he espoused, when applied to the realm of personal influence, reveal how true leadership emanates from an almost imperceptible, yet irresistible gravitational pull. This is the essence of invisible warfare, shaping the perceptions and actions of others without ever engaging in direct conflict or overt persuasion. It is a nuanced dance of presence and absence, of revealed strength and concealed intent. Let us first examine the concept of detachment from outcome, the invincible general. Sun Tzu famously declared, "The victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won." This aphorism, far from advocating pacifism, illuminates a core truth about profound self-assurance. An invincible general does not merely hope for victory, he meticulously orchestrates circumstances so that success becomes a near certainty before the first skirmish even commences. In the theater of human interaction, this translates to possessing a personal mission, a life purpose or an internal compass so robust and clearly defined that the external validation, the ephemeral approval of others becomes utterly secondary, if not entirely irrelevant. Your intrinsic worth is not predicated upon their acceptance or rejection. It is an immutable constant, derived from your authentic self. When your self-esteem is not tied to the fluctuating whims of others, their responses lose their power to destabilize you. You project an aura of self-contained sufficiency, an almost regal indifference to external affirmation. This is not a pose. It is an organic byproduct of profound self-knowledge and a clear sense of direction. Should others choose to align with your vision, to follow your trajectory, it is a welcome addition, but not a fundamental necessity. Should they choose otherwise, your path remains unswervingly straight, your journey undeterred. This unwavering commitment to your internal agenda, this absolute liberation from the tyranny of external opinion, makes you not only resilient, but also profoundly attractive. People are inherently drawn to those who possess such an unshakable inner core, those who radiate a serene confidence in their own existence, untainted by desperation or craving. They recognize, perhaps subconsciously, the immense strength in one who needs nothing from them, yet offers the quiet opportunity to partake in something greater than themselves. This invincibility is a quiet, powerful force that compels admiration and, crucially, encourages voluntary allegiance, because it signals a deep well of self-reliance, a rare and valuable commodity in a world brimming with dependency. Next, consider the principle of formlessness and incommensurability. Sun Tzu advised, be subtle to the point of formlessness. Be mysterious to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the master of your opponent's fate. In social dynamics, this translates to becoming utterly unreadable, unpredictable, and ultimately unconquerable by conventional means. This isn't about deliberately fabricating an enigma. It's about cultivating such a deep internal locus of control that your actions cease to be predictable reactions to external stimuli. Those who are governed by emotion and external validation are easily deciphered. Their triggers are obvious, their responses habitual. The truly detached individual, however, operates from a different plane. Their motivations are internal, their timing is deliberate, and their emotional state is self-regulated. This makes them formless, without a clear, exploitable shape. An adversary, or anyone attempting to manipulate you, finds no leverage, no hook to grasp onto. How can one attack what has no definable form? How can one exploit a need that simply does not exist? This state of being creates a profound sense of intrigue and, paradoxically, a deep respect. When your actions are not easily categorized, when your intentions remain enigmatic yet consistently impactful, others are forced to reassess their assumptions. They cannot pigeonhole you. They cannot anticipate your next move. This absence of predictable patterns makes you inherently fascinating and, importantly, commands a certain reverence. People are often intimidated and simultaneously drawn to what they cannot fully comprehend or control. Your incommensurability becomes your shield, protecting you from intrusive probes and manipulative ploys, while simultaneously serving as a subtle magnet, drawing attention and deference from those who seek stability and genuine power in a world of predictable weaknesses. This is not about playing hard to get. It is about being genuinely hard to influence, a quality that inherently elevates your perceived value and authority. Finally, we turn to profound knowledge, knowing oneself above all else. While Sun Tzu's famous dictum states, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles," for the purpose of cultivating detachment and magnetic leadership, the emphasis shifts profoundly to the latter part, knowing yourself. The deepest source of vulnerability, the Achilles heel that manipulative individuals relentlessly exploit, is often our own unexamined desires, our hidden insecurities, our subconscious cravings for validation. A strategist who truly understands himself, his strengths, his weaknesses, his emotional triggers, his authentic values, is an individual who cannot be easily swayed. This self-awareness is the bedrock upon which genuine detachment is built. When you comprehend the genesis of your own emotional responses, you gain the power to choose them, rather than being enslaved by them. This internal clarity allows you to observe the actions and reactions of others with a calm, dispassionate gaze, free from the distorting lens of your own unmet needs. You recognize their ploys for what they are, attempts to elicit a reaction, to gain control through emotional entanglement. But because you are profoundly aware of your own internal landscape, you can deny them the desired response. This self-knowledge is an impenetrable fortress. It allows you to anticipate your own emotional vulnerabilities and preemptively fortify them, rendering you impervious to external attacks designed to sow doubt or cultivate dependency. When you know yourself so intimately, you become unshakable. This profound internal grounding is not merely a defensive posture, it is an attractive force. Others intuitively sense this depth of self-possession. In a world full of individuals adrift in a sea of external opinions, one who is firmly anchored within themselves becomes a lighthouse, guiding others not by command, but by the sheer, unwavering radiance of their self-mastery. They follow your lead not because you demand it, but because they implicitly trust the clarity of your vision, forged in the crucible of self-knowledge, and they seek the security of aligning with such an authentic and powerful presence. This is the true application of strategic observation, turning the most critical gaze inward to master the internal battlefield and from that victory, command the external world. The true superiority of this strategic detachment lies in its organic authenticity, directly contrasting with brute force or crude manipulation. It requires no energy-draining charade, no constant performance. Instead, it is the natural consequence of cultivating an inner landscape so rich and robust that external inputs become secondary. When you embody these principles, the invincibility born of disinterest in external outcomes, the enigmatic power of formlessness, and the unshakable foundation of self-knowledge, you cease to chase. You become the center of gravity around which others naturally orient themselves. This is not about making them do anything. It is about becoming so profoundly yourself that their alignment with your trajectory becomes a voluntary act of respect and recognition. They follow your lead because you are leading yourself with such conviction, with such quiet authority, that your path becomes intrinsically compelling. The power lies not in your demands, but in your undeniable presence. Having explored the foundational principles that empower genuine detachment, we now turn our gaze inward to the most critical arena of all, the psychological battlefield within. Sun Tzu understood that external victories are but reflections of internal triumphs. The greatest victory, he might have proclaimed, is that which is won over oneself. Before one can hope to influence the trajectories of others, one must first achieve an unassailable command over one's own inner domain. This self-mastery is not a mere precursor to strategic action. It is the very essence of the strategist's power, the wellspring from which all enduring influence flows. Without this internal dominion, all external maneuvers are merely reactive responses, vulnerable to the slightest disruption. The primary frontier of this internal struggle lies in the rigorous conquest of one's own emotional landscape. Anger, pride, impatience, fear, and the pervasive craving for external validation are not merely personal flaws. They are strategic liabilities. Each uncontrolled outburst, each visible sign of desperate attachment, each hasty decision driven by ego or anxiety, offers a clear vulnerability to any discerning observer. These emotional fluctuations are like exposed flanks in battle, an open invitation for an adversary to exploit. The astute strategist, therefore, begins by meticulously fortifying these internal borders. This does not imply the suppression or denial of emotions, but rather their profound understanding and disciplined management. It is the ability to feel intensely, yet to act with measured composure, to observe provocations without immediately reacting, to allow the tempest within to rage, yet present a serene, unyielding exterior. The first victory is always over the tempestuous seas of one's own mind. By mastering the internal dialogue, by detaching from the immediate pull of impulsive reactions, you deny others the leverage they might seek. They cannot upset you if you refuse to be upset. They cannot manipulate your fear if you have confronted and assimilated it. This unwavering composure, this quiet authority over your own internal states, radiates an almost palpable strength. It signals that you are not merely playing a role, but embodying a profound truth. Your reactions are your own, not dictated by external circumstances. This is the ultimate act of self-sovereignty, a declaration of independence that sets you apart, making you a rare and formidable presence. People are drawn to this stability because it offers a stark contrast to their own internal chaos, making your detachment a source of quiet, compelling magnetism rather than aloofness. Beyond internal fortitude, the strategist meticulously sculpts the perception others hold, not through desperate image crafting, but through consistent, authentic embodiment of self-mastery. This is not about striving to be universally adored or strategically reviled. Such dualistic aims are themselves rooted in external validation. Instead, it is about being perceived as calm, calculated, and supremely capable, a force to be respected, perhaps even quietly revered, but never easily dismissed or controlled. Sun Tzu famously articulated the principle of appearing weak when strong and strong when weak. In the context of detachment, this takes on a deeper psychological nuance. It means never revealing the full extent of your inner resources or your true intentions. If others believe they have you figured out, that they understand your motivations and your limits, they gain a deceptive sense of control. The master of detachment, however, cultivates an air of impenetrable depth. They reveal only what serves their overarching purpose, maintaining a profound reserve that hints at vast, unseen reserves of power. This is not about deception in the Machiavellian sense, but about cultivating a strategic mystery, an unquantifiable quality that keeps others perpetually off balance, always guessing, always aware that there is more to you than meets the eye. They may see a calm surface, but they sense an ocean of depth beneath where currents flow unseen. This deliberate opacity, born from genuine self-containment, disarms potential manipulators who rely on reading your tells or exploiting your predictable responses. When you are truly formless in your emotional expression, when your reactions are governed by conscious choice rather than instinct, you become an unassailable bastion of personal power. This magnetic allure is not built on theatrical performances, but on the quiet, unyielding power of an authentic, self-governed presence. Every single interaction, no matter how seemingly insignificant, contributes inexorably to the construction of your reputation, a formidable, pervasive shadow that precedes you into any room, influencing dynamics before a single word is exchanged. This reputation is not merely a collection of anecdotes. It is a tapestry woven from your consistent adherence to your chosen principles, particularly your unwavering detachment. When you consistently demonstrate an absence of need, a clarity of purpose, and an unshakable composure, you are in essence broadcasting a powerful message. I am autonomous. My worth is non-negotiable. My path is my own. Each time you choose measured stillness over reactive desperation, each time you prioritize your internal equilibrium over external pressure, you are adding another thread of steel to this reputational fabric. People observe this. They register the individual who does not chase, who does not plead, who remains centered amidst chaos. They begin to perceive you as a source of stability, a bastion of quiet strength in a world increasingly characterized by frantic energy and emotional volatility. This cultivated perception, not just of being strong, but of being strong enough not to need, creates an aura of genuine authority. Your reputation becomes a strategic asset, a silent but potent ally. It discourages superficial attempts at manipulation because potential adversaries intuitively understand that their usual tactics will be ineffective. It fosters respect because others naturally admire one who has mastered themselves. And critically, it draws people towards you. They are drawn to this magnetic field of self-possession, seeking to align with someone who possesses such an unshakable inner compass. They perceive a deep wisdom, a rare maturity, and an almost magnetic influence in one who operates from a place of such profound internal abundance. This is the art of cultivating a reputation that does the work for you, that commands attention and deference without the need for a single overt display of power. It's the strategic advantage of being known as the one who cannot be swayed, the one whose path is his own, and whose leadership is therefore not imposed, but naturally sought. Your quiet, unyielding presence becomes the most compelling argument for your authority, and your consistent detachment from outcome is the subtle yet powerful testament to your true strength. The psychological battlefield is won not by conquering others' minds directly, but by rendering your own so formidable that it inspires a different form of engagement, one of respect, curiosity, and ultimately, voluntary alignment. You have meticulously cultivated your inner fortitude. You have learned to observe the intricate dance of human desire without becoming entangled within it. You have forged a profound detachment, not as a manipulative facade, but as an authentic state of self-mastery. Now, before we unveil how this unassailable invincibility manifests in commanding genuine leadership and securing an enduring, tranquil domain, ensure your commitment to this profound wisdom. Subscribe, for the ultimate insights into consolidating your strategic triumphs are reserved for those dedicated to true mastery. The culmination of the strategist's journey is not a thunderous declaration of victory, nor a dramatic confrontation. According to Sun Tzu, the decisive strike is not a violent assault, but a swift, precise, and utterly conclusive action, executed with surgical precision when the opposition is at its most vulnerable, often due to their own self-inflicted errors or inherent weaknesses. The quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim. In the context of mastering detachment and inspiring leadership, this strike is rarely a physical or even overtly aggressive act. Instead, it is the quiet, unwavering execution of your purpose, born from your deeply cultivated self-sovereignty, that subtly yet powerfully recalibrates the dynamics around you. It is the moment when your consistent, unshakable presence, your absolute lack of need, and your clear, unyielding trajectory become so undeniable that others intuitively understand the futility of resistance and the wisdom of alignment. This decisive action is often characterized by a profound sense of timing. The detached strategist does not rush. He waits, observes, and allows circumstances to ripen. He understands that genuine influence is not about forcing an outcome, but about creating an environment where the desired outcome naturally unfolds. When others, driven by their own attachments and insecurities, exhaust themselves in frantic pursuit or reveal their vulnerabilities through predictable emotional reactions, the detached individual simply continues on their chosen path. This steady, unperturbed progress becomes the strike. It is the moment when your intrinsic value, your authentic self-sufficiency, and your clear vision shine through with such brilliance that others, consciously or unconsciously, cease their attempts to sway or control you. They recognize the profound stability you offer in a world of flux. Your victory is not an imposed submission, but a voluntary concession of influence, a recognition that aligning with your grounded authority is more beneficial than attempting to undermine it. This quiet, non-confrontational assertion of your authentic self becomes the most potent form of leadership, drawing others into your orbit not through coercion, but through an irresistible pull of inherent power and purpose. It is the moment when your internal transformation manifests externally as undeniable, unchallengeable authority, not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it so completely. The true victory is not merely the act itself, but the entirely new reality it meticulously brings forth. The strategist, having executed this decisive alignment of self and circumstance, does not indulge in ostentatious celebration or triumphant pronouncements. Such displays would betray the very detachment that secured the outcome. Instead, he observes the unfolding consequences of his actions with serene equanimity, like a seasoned general surveying the landscape after a strategically won campaign. The objective is not merely to win a particular interaction or to gain temporary compliance, but to cultivate a lasting, self-sustaining peace, a new order where future challenges are preemptively neutralized or entirely dissuaded by the sheer unyielding force of your established reputation. This lasting peace is a state where your perceived autonomy, your profound internal equilibrium, and your consistent adherence to your personal mission create an environment where others hesitate to test your boundaries or challenge your leadership. They learn through your unwavering example that attempting to manipulate or sway you is a fruitless endeavor. This enduring stability is achieved by allowing the ripple effects of your consistent detachment to permeate the entire social and psychological fabric. When people realize that you are not motivated by their approval, not threatened by their disapproval, and not swayed by their attempts to control, their tactics lose all potency. They are left with a choice: to continue ineffectual attempts to engage you on their terms, or to adapt and engage you on your terms, terms defined by your self-possession and clarity. Most often, they choose the latter because the human psyche inherently seeks strength and stability. Your peace is not an absence of interaction, but an interaction conducted entirely on your own terms, where your energy is protected and your purpose remains undisturbed. This is the ultimate consolidation of power, not merely achieving a temporary upper hand, but fundamentally altering the dynamic so that your authority becomes an unassailable fixture, a natural law of the environment you inhabit. Your influence becomes so ingrained, so organically integrated into the surrounding world that others simply default to following your lead, recognizing it as the path of least resistance and greatest stability. In the final analysis, the true nature of power, as illuminated by Sun Tzu and manifested through profound detachment, is not about exerting control over others' wills. It transcends the crude mechanics of manipulation and dominance. The supreme power is that which sculpts reality itself, subtly shaping the environment and the perceptions within it, to such an extent that overt conflict becomes utterly superfluous and the very concept of resistance becomes irrelevant. It is the silent, pervasive authority of the one who has mastered themselves so completely that their presence alone commands respect, inspires allegiance, and transforms the landscape of human interaction. This is the coveted throne that no one dares approach, not because it is guarded by visible legions, but because its occupant is a force of nature, unassailable and self-contained. It is the profound freedom that comes from needing nothing, yet possessing everything that truly matters: your own inviolable sovereignty, your unshakable purpose, and the magnetic allure that naturally compels others to follow your lead, not out of obligation, but out of an instinctive recognition of genuine, timeless power. This is the legacy of the detached strategist: to lead not by demand, but by being. Use arrow up and arrow down to select a turn, enter to jump to it, and escape to return to the chat.